Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the Before AGI podcast. Today we're diving deep into the world of OpenAI,
Oh, yeah. OpenAI.
a company that's basically become a synonym for
Cutting-edge AI.
cutting-edge AI research. We're talking about the kind of tech that's not just changing industries. It's reshaping how we think about creativity and problem solving.
And what it means to be human.
Exactly. I mean, for huge questions. Now, I'm sure you've at least heard of some of their big projects like DALL-E.
Oh, dull.
DALL-E, right? The AI that can create images from just
Text descriptions.
wild text descriptions. And let's be real, who hasn't been just blown away by ChatGPT?
It's remarkable.
A chatbot that can hold conversations.
Nuanced,
yeah. You'd almost think there's a person on the other side.
Yeah, you would.
But here's the thing, though. Those are really just the tip of the iceberg. OpenAI is doing some seriously groundbreaking work across a whole spectrum of AI and understanding their mission.
Their vision.
Yeah, and their projects. It's like getting a sneak peek into the future.
I agree with that.
And lucky for us, we have an expert here today to help us break it all down.
Happy to be here.
So what I think is so fascinating about OpenAI is that they're not just focused on building these impressive tech demos.
No.
They're really tackling these big questions about how to make sure that artificial general intelligence, AGI, benefits all of humanity.
Right. And that's a key differentiator for them, I think.
Yeah. Now, I remember when they first started, they were a nonprofit.
They were.
And now they've transitioned to this capped profit model, which, to be honest, sounds kind of unusual. What's the story there?
Well, a cap profit company basically limits how much profit investors can make. It's a way for them to attract funding, that they need to pay their researchers and fund these projects. But at the same time, they're trying to stay true to that original mission of making sure that AGI doesn't just benefit a select few, but really has a positive impact on society as a whole. It's a pretty unique approach.
Yeah, it really is. And speaking of beginnings, you can't talk about OpenAI without mentioning the folks who started it all.
The founders.
Yeah, like Elon Musk.
And Sam Altman.
Their vision for the future of AI really set the stage for everything OpenAI is doing today.
Absolutely. Their initial vision was so important.
Yeah. But enough about history for now. Let's jump into the projects themselves. I mean, where do we even begin? OpenAI seems to be just cranking out groundbreaking stuff at lightning speed.
They are, and it's hard to keep up sometimes.
It is.
But let's start with GPT-3.
Okay.
Their largest language model. This thing is capable of generating text that's mind-blowingly human-like. And we're not just talking about writing emails or summarizing documents.
Yeah.
GPT-3 can compose poetry.
Wait, hold on. Poetry. Like actual rhyming.
Yeah.
Emotionally evocative poetry.
All of that.
That's wild. How does it even do that?
Well, it all comes down to the scale of the data that it was trained on. We're talking about just a massive amount of text and code.
So it's seen a lot?
It's seen everything. And that allows it to learn these complex patterns and relationships in language. And so it can mimic the nuances of human writing.
Wow.
And often the results are indistinguishable from something a human might write.
That is incredible. And a little unsettling, to be honest.
Yeah.
It makes you think about, what does it even mean?
What is creativity?
Yeah, what is creativity, and what does it mean for a machine to be able to express itself in such a human-like way?
Yeah, these are questions philosophers have been debating for centuries.
Right.
And now we have AI doing it.
Yeah. It's definitely a topic that raises a lot of questions. And GPT-3 is just one example of how OpenAI is pushing the boundaries of what AI can do.
It really is.
Okay, so we've got this AI poet.
Right?
But they're also doing some crazy things with images, right?
Yeah.
I mean, DALL-E is everywhere these days. How does that even work?
So DALL-E uses this technique called diffusion, which is basically a way of teaching the AI to reverse the process of noise.
Noise.
Yeah, like static being added to an image. So by learning to remove that noise, it essentially learns how to create images from scratch based on the text descriptions that you feed it.
So if I tell DALL-E to create a picture of a cat wearing a top hat riding a unicycle on the moon,
It can do that.
it can do it.
Yeah, and the results are often surprisingly creative and surreal.
Damn.
It's like having an AI art partner that can bring your wildest ideas to life.
That's insane. But DALL-E isn't the only project they have going on in the visual realm, right? I think you mentioned something called CLIP earlier.
I did. CLIP is all about bridging that gap between images and text. It's trained to understand the relationship between what it sees in an image
Okay.
and how that image might be described in words. So this is a huge step forward in creating AI that can perceive and understand the world more like humans do.
So CLIP can look at a picture of, let's say, a dog playing fetch.
Yeah.
And it understands that it's not just the random shapes and colors,
Right.
that it's a real event.
Exactly. It's learning to make sense of the visual world in a much more sophisticated way than any previous AI system could.
Wow. And that has huge implications, I imagine.
It does.
For everything from image search to robotics to...
Self-driving cars.
Yeah, it's all so fascinating. But how does this technology actually translate into real-world applications? Are businesses actually using these tools, or is it all still experimental?
Well, the truth is OpenAI's technology is already finding its way into a surprising number of real-world applications. So take GPT-3, for example.
Okay.
It's being used by businesses to automate things like customer service,
Right.
generate marketing copy, even write personalized emails. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
That's incredible. So it's not just cool demos and research papers. It's actually changing how businesses operate on a day-to-day basis.
It really is.
That's amazing. Okay, I think my brain needs a minute to process all of this. We've got AI writing poetry and creating art
Yeah.
and revolutionizing how businesses work.
It is a lot.
It's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take in. But that's the beauty of this field. It's constantly evolving and pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible.
It really is.
Yeah.
So we've covered some of OpenAI's most famous projects, like GPT-3 and DALL-E. But I'm curious what else they have up their sleeve. Are there any lesser-known projects that are kind of flying under the radar?
Definitely. One that I think is particularly interesting, especially if you're into like how AI learns,
Yeah.
is OpenAI Gym. It's a toolkit they created for training and testing something called reinforcement learning algorithms.
Okay, now you're testing my memory here.
Sorry.
Reinforcement learning, that rings a bell.
Yeah.
But can you give me a quick refresher?
Sure. So it's basically a way of teaching AI by rewarding it for taking actions that lead to a desired outcome. So imagine you're teaching a dog a new trick.
Okay.
You give it a treat when it does something right.
Right.
Maybe a little no when it gets it wrong.
Yeah.
Reinforcement learning is kind of like that, but for AI.
Got it. So where does OpenAI Gym fit into all this?
So OpenAI Gym provides a bunch of different virtual environments where researchers and developers can test out their reinforcement learning algorithms. It could be anything from teaching an AI to navigate a maze to mastering a video game.
So instead of a dog learning to fetch, you might have an AI learning to beat the high score on Pac-Man.
Exactly.
Cool.
So OpenAI Gym gives researchers this standardized way to test and compare different reinforcement learning approaches, and that's crucial for advancing the field.
It sounds like OpenAI Gym is a really valuable resource for anyone who wants to delve into how AI learns.
Absolutely.
But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the bigger picture. What are OpenAI's long-term goals? What kind of world are they trying to build with all this incredible technology?
So at the heart of it all is their mission to ensure that AGI, artificial general intelligence, benefits all of humanity. They believe that AGI has the potential to solve some of the world's toughest challenges.
Like what?
Things like climate change,
Okay.
poverty, disease, inequality. But they're also acutely aware of the potential risks as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a double-edged sword. Incredible potential for good, but also the possibility of things going really wrong if we're not careful.
Exactly. And OpenAI is trying to walk that tightrope by focusing on what they call responsible AI development.
Okay.
They're not just building cool tech, they're trying to build tech that's safe, ethical, and aligned with human values.
So it's not just about reaching the finish line first in this AI race.
Right.
It's about making sure we all get there in one piece.
Yes.
And that everyone benefits from the journey.
I like that analogy.
That's a great way to put it. So they envision a future where AGI works alongside humans, augmenting our abilities and helping us to create a better world. But they're also being realistic about potential downsides. And they're working to mitigate those risks.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that sets them apart from some of the other players in the AI field.
Yeah.
It's not just chasing profits or headlines.
Right.
They're really trying to shape the future of AI in a way that benefits everyone.
That's really reassuring to hear. It sounds like OpenAI is approaching this whole AI thing with a sense of responsibility and a long-term perspective.
They are, and that's why they're such a fascinating company to watch.
Absolutely. Well, this has been an absolutely mind-blowing conversation so far. I'm learning so much about OpenAI and the incredible things that they're doing.
It's fun.
And for all of our listeners out there, be sure to stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into OpenAI. We'll be going even deeper into the implications of their work and really exploring what it all means for the future of humanity.
It really is a fascinating time to be following AI development, and OpenAI is certainly a company to watch closely.
Absolutely. Okay, so in part one, we talked about OpenAI's commitment to building AGI that benefits humanity.
Right.
But I'm curious about the specifics. What does that actually look like in their day-to-day work? How are they making sure that their AI doesn't, turn into some sci-fi horror story?
Well, one of the things that sets OpenAI apart is this emphasis on aligning AGI with human values.
Oh.
So they're not just focused on creating AI that's powerful, they want to make sure it's aligned with our ethical principles and goals.
That sounds great in theory, but how do you actually put that into practice? I mean, how do you teach a machine about human values?
It's a challenging task for sure, but OpenAI is investing a lot in research on AI safety and alignment. They're exploring different approaches, from training these AI systems on massive data sets of human text and code.
To reflect our values.
Exactly, to developing algorithms that can learn to understand and predict human preferences.
So it's about making sure that AI understands not just what we say we want, but what we truly value as humans.
Exactly. It's about going beyond the surface level and trying to instill a deeper understanding of human ethics and motivations into these systems.
I imagine that involves a lot of collaboration with, like, philosophers and ethicists and social scientists.
Oh, absolutely. OpenAI recognizes that to build safe and beneficial AGI, it requires a multidisciplinary approach. So they're working with experts from all sorts of different fields to ensure that they're considering all the angles, from the technical to the societal.
That's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're really taking this responsibility seriously.
They are, and another important aspect of their approach is transparency.
Okay.
So OpenAI is committed to sharing their research findings and being open about the development process.
Yeah.
They believe that that transparency is crucial for building trust in AI and ensuring that it's used responsibly.
I think that's so important, especially with all the hype and fears surrounding AI these days. People need to understand how this technology works,
Right.
and what the potential risks and benefits are.
Yeah. And transparency helps to kind of demystify it.
Demystify.
And it allows for a more informed public discourse
Right.
about its development and use. And OpenAI is setting a really good example, I think, for the rest of the industry in that regard.
And speaking of setting a good example, they're also big on collaboration, right? They're not trying to just hoard all this AI knowledge for themselves.
That's right. OpenAI believes that the best way to advance this field is through collaboration and knowledge sharing.
Okay.
So they've actually open sourced a lot of their tools and models, making them available to researchers and developers all around the world.
Wow.
And this fosters this culture of collective progress, and it helps to ensure that those benefits of AI are shared widely.
It's kind of like the open source movement, but for AI.
Exactly.
There's a really interesting approach, and I think it speaks to their commitment to making sure AI benefits everyone, not just a select few.
Right. They're trying to create a more inclusive and democratic ecosystem for AI development, one where everyone has a voice and can contribute to shaping the future of this technology.
Okay, so we've talked about OpenAI's commitment to safety, transparency, and collaboration.
Yeah.
But let's get back to the technology itself.
Okay.
Earlier you mentioned OpenAI Gym, this virtual playground for training these AI agents. Can you tell us a bit more about how that works and why it's so important?
Sure. So OpenAI Gym is a platform for experimenting with reinforcement learning algorithms,
Right.
which we discussed earlier. It's a way of teaching AI through trial and error.
Right.
So it's like giving an AI agent a set of actions it can take in a virtual environment,
Okay.
and then rewarding it for actions that lead to some desired outcome.
So instead of programming an AI to follow specific instructions, you're letting it figure things out on its own, like a child learning to ride a bike.
Exactly. And OpenAI Gym provides a variety of virtual environments.
Right.
From simple games like cart pole, where you have to balance a pole on a moving cart,
Okay.
to more complex simulations like robot navigation or controlling traffic flow in a city.
Wow.
So it's this powerful tool for researchers to test and compare different reinforcement learning approaches and see how well they perform in different scenarios.
So it's not just about teaching AI to play games, it's about exploring how it can learn to solve real-world problems, like navigating complex environments or optimizing systems.
Exactly. Reinforcement learning has the potential to revolutionize so many fields, from robotics and automation to finance and healthcare.
Wow.
And OpenAI Gym is playing a key role in advancing this really exciting area of research.
It's fascinating to see how OpenAI is pushing these boundaries of AI while also being so mindful of the ethical and societal implications. It's a delicate balancing act for sure.
It is, and it's a conversation that we're really just starting to have.
Yeah.
As AI becomes more powerful and pervasive, we're going to have to grapple with even more complex questions about its role in our lives, our work, and our society.
Speaking of those big questions, let's zoom out for a moment and talk about OpenAI's vision for the future. What kind of world are they ultimately trying to create with all this incredible technology?
So their ultimate goal is to ensure that artificial general intelligence, AGI, benefits all of humanity. And they believe that AGI has the potential to solve some of the world's most pressing problems, things like climate change and poverty, disease, and inequality.
That's a pretty ambitious goal.
Yeah.
But is it actually achievable? I mean, AGI still feels kind of like science fiction to a lot of people.
Well, it's certainly a long-term goal.
Yep.
And there's no guarantee that we'll get there anytime soon, but OpenAI is betting on that possibility, and they're investing heavily in research to try to make it a reality. And they believe that if we approach AGI development with this focus on safety, ethics, and collaboration, we can create a future where AI really empowers humanity and helps us build a better world.
It's an inspiring vision for sure.
It is.
But it also raises a lot of questions about the potential impact of AGI on society.
Yeah, like,
What happens to jobs if AI can do a lot of the tasks that humans currently do?
right.
How do we make sure that AI doesn't just exacerbate existing inequalities or lead to new forms of discrimination?
These are all really valid concerns, and OpenAI is actively trying to engage with these questions.
Okay.
So they're working with policymakers, researchers, and the public to explore the potential social and economic implications of AGI and to develop frameworks for governing its development and
It
use.
sounds like they're trying to think really holistically about the impact of AGI.
They are.
Not just the technological aspects, but the social and ethical dimensions as well.
Exactly. They recognize that building AGI is not just a technical challenge, it's a societal one. It requires us to rethink our values, our institutions, and our relationship with technology.
This is all so fascinating, and it's clear that we're just scratching the surface of this topic.
Yeah, we are.
I'm eager to hear more about OpenAI's specific initiatives,
Yeah.
like in areas like healthcare, education, and climate change.
Yeah. There's so much to explore. OpenAI is working on some incredibly exciting projects that have the potential to revolutionize these fields and many others.
Well, stay tuned, everyone. We'll be diving into those projects and much more in part 3 of our deep dive into OpenAI. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're wrapping up our exploration of OpenAI, and honestly, my mind is buzzing. All these possibilities.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And frankly, some anxieties about what it all means, for the future.
I think that's understandable.
It is. AI is evolving so fast, and OpenAI is right at the forefront.
They are.
It makes you wonder how it will impact our lives, our jobs, even the very fabric of society.
Big questions.
Big questions. So let's dive into some of those big picture questions. We've talked about OpenAI's mission to benefit humanity. But what does that actually look like practically? How are they translating their research into solutions for real-world problems?
Well, one area where they're making really significant strides is healthcare. They're using their AI models to analyze medical images, predict disease outbreaks, and even develop personalized treatment plans.
So you're saying AI could detect cancer earlier?
It's possible.
Wow, that would be revolutionary.
It would.
Leading to better treatments and better outcomes for patients.
Absolutely.
And what about other fields? How could OpenAI's work impact education, for example?
Well, AI has this potential to really personalize education, tailoring learning to individual students' needs and abilities. So OpenAI's language models could be used to create intelligent tutoring systems that adapt to each student's learning style and pace.
That's amazing. So it could revolutionize how we teach and learn.
It could.
Making it more accessible and effective for everyone.
Right. Exactly.
It sounds like AI could empower teachers to be even more effective.
I think so.
Freeing them up to focus on the human aspects.
Yeah, the things that really require a human touch.
While AI handles some of the more routine tasks.
Right, exactly. It's about using AI to augment human capabilities.
Yeah.
Not replace them.
Okay, but let's be real for a second.
Sure.
not all of the potential impacts are positive.
Of course not.
There are those concerns about job displacement.
Right.
And the possibility of AI becoming too powerful.
Uncontrollable.
Uncontrollable.
Yeah.
How is OpenAI addressing those concerns?
Well, as we've discussed, they have this strong commitment to what they call responsible AI development. So they're investing in research to mitigate those risks. They're collaborating with policymakers to try to develop those ethical guidelines.
Yeah.
And they're working to educate the public about the potential impacts of AI.
So it's not just about building the technology.
It's much more than that.
It's about shaping the conversation.
Yes.
Making sure it's used ethically, responsibly. Yeah. OpenAI recognizes that AI is this powerful tool.
It is.
It can be used for good or bad.
Right.
And it's up to us as a society to decide how we want to use it.
I agree.
And OpenAI is trying to empower us to make those informed decisions about the future of AI.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They believe that the best way to ensure that AI benefits humanity is to have this open and honest conversation about the challenges and the opportunities that it presents.
Yeah.
And they want to involve everyone.
That's great.
Not just the tech elite.
I appreciate that approach.
Yeah.
It feels much more inclusive and democratic than how some companies operate.
I agree. It's a refreshing change.
Yeah, OpenAI is setting a positive example.
For the industry.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into OpenAI, what is one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember? What's the most important thing to keep in mind as we navigate this crazy AI landscape?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed and engaged.
Informed and engaged.
AI is already having a huge impact on our lives, and that impact is only going to grow.
Yeah.
And we need to understand how AI works,
Right.
what the benefits and risks are,
Yeah.
and how we can shape its development and use. We can't be passive observers in this.
No, we can't.
We have to participate.
That's a powerful message. It's up to all of us to be active participants in shaping the future of AI.
It is.
We need to ask questions, demand transparency, and hold those developing this technology accountable.
We have to be involved.
On that note, I want to thank you again for guiding us through this deep dive into OpenAI.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been eye-opening and honestly a little bit scary.
It is scary, but it's also exciting.
Yeah, it is.
This is the future.
And to our amazing listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into OpenAI. I hope you found it as fascinating as we did. Remember, the future of AI is in our hands. Let's create a future where AI benefits all of humanity. Don't forget, if you're eager to learn more about this technology, head over to Ian Ochieng AI on YouTube. You'll find a ton of great tutorials and insights to help you navigate the world of AI. Till next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.